It's making, I'm still not sold on TikTok. I'm hoping just to aggregate the audience across here for when TikTok is finally banned. But and I think that's going to be coming anytime soon. In the near future. I'm not sure if you all agree, but it does seem to be. It is on the legislative chopping block in the United States, and okay, don't want to post that. Okay, hold on. Here we go. All right. And also, if anybody's on TikTok, if you know how to end a stream, that would be great because last time I did this, I was right in the middle, in the end, and I had to run. I was a little bit late to get to the truck, and I don't know, is it just me or they didn't make it obvious where you shut down the stream from within TikTok once you finish. And again, we're just doing this for the benefit of the Chinese Communist Party and their spyware. And so for everybody who is on TikTok, wave hello to the to your minders within the Chinese government and it's kind of shithole countries. But that's besides the point. I think that comment will upset some people. So if you're on Twitter, good morning. And on the main streams, good morning, everybody here. And, everybody's already a good Tao. Good morning. Megan, Sonia, Ben, you have to make the live start, then talk. No, because, so Sonia, what I'm doing is I've already started with people who subscribe in locals, because ultimately I'm going to be doing locals only content for people who pay for the subscription, especially as I start to release information, documents, charts, all that sort of stuff. Some of that is going to be exclusive to locals because there's some people who've been great, who've been supporting me all along, and I want to be able to pay it back to them somehow. Use an old phone just for social media. Well, that's what I have. I have a burner phone. Well, not a burner phone. It's a phone in the U.S. It's an American phone, and that's what I use for TikTok. Disorganized, divisive, and highly disagreeable, the 3 Ds to describe BJ. Hey, whoa, hold on. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I'm disorganized. Well, no. I'm trying to refine the systemization of the process. Disorganized, I'm not. Overwhelmed, yeah, sometimes a little bit because I'm trying to do so many things. Good morning from frozen Eastern Ontario. Currently minus 25. It was quite cold yesterday. It was when I was driving back and I got stuck in. John is here. He would know. I got stuck in a blizzard in the truck. And got those lake effect winds coming across Highway I-90, which was kind of sucked and killed. You don't realize it in a truck kills your gas mileage when you're going against the wind. So maybe Greta can ban wind, because if she can do that, then maybe we'll be able to save the planet or whatever they're on. Beth is meant as a joke. Come on, I know. I'm just teasing. Okay, so a couple things. Good morning to everybody. I want to a couple of issues that we'll talk about today. It's been a tough week for streams, or this week is going to be a tough week for streams. I'm going to be basically, look at me, I look horrible. I'm going to be spending a lot of my time in the truck this week. I haven't figured out a solution for when I'm down south. I think really the streaming's got to be done here, but I might be posting more videos to Instagram and to TikTok if we still have TikTok, and it goes what it continues. Hold on, BJdichter. I had an interaction with YouTube comments. I fed him a rope. But he stopped. However, listen, whatever. Who cares? Irrelevant nobody trying to grift his way into the spotlight, and there's a bunch of people helping. Yeah, whatever. I don't really care. Over time, you'll see more and more how some of these people who collaborated with the political structure to disrupt the Freedom Convoy will become less and less relevant as time goes on, and it is what it is, right? we'll shy away from that negativity. But Tao, I really appreciate it. Oh, and Tao, I needed to talk to you about the Discord. So if you could send me a message over Twitter or something, and because Jesse has been, I spoke to Jesse or messaged with Jesse when I was in the truck yesterday, trying to get into the Discord, and I don't know what the Discord link is. So if you can get it to me, I would really appreciate it. John gets, you get mileage, I get inches. Yes, John drives a Peterbilt, which is a Packard truck, not known for their fuel efficiency, and he does it off-road, whereas I'm on-road in a Volvo, which is basically sips fuel. Okay, so first thing that is important, I think, this week to knowledge that many of you may not know, we're still awaiting, or they're still awaiting a written decision, but my lawyer, Mr. Jim Karahalios, apparently it sounds like I say Kalaharios for some reason, which I don't. I say Karahalios, but maybe that's because I learned to roll my R's when I speak Spanish. So Jim Karahalios, had a victory. So Jim was representing somebody who was facing criminal charges as a result of the Freedom Convoy. And the results of that case was an acquittal. So more details to follow. Still awaiting a written decision, but that's all very, very good news. And so there you go. There's the contrast. You know, what I've been trying to address over this entire year, having somebody who has lawyers who are friends, who produces a podcast for lawyers, who's grown up around lawyers. You learn how many of them are complete morons and what a bad lawyer is like. Better Call Saul, for example. And a good lawyer is. And here's an example of a good lawyer. You saw, his performance in the commission, where he focused on legal argumentation and attention to detail, versus all the theatrics and BS from the other side to go viral on YouTube. And what are the results? Well, in Jim's case, it's not a typical case, but it's a matter of presenting an argument, which I think we presented well and managed to take the wind out of the sails of some of the narrative on the other side. So I think that is a victory. And this acquittal, I would consider a victory as well. In contrast to the JCCF, which has got Tamara, they couldn't get her out of jail on a mischief charge, which is a summary judgment. And she sat in jail for a couple of weeks while one of the lawyers went on a fishing trip. So there you go. There's the difference. And anyways, there's going to be more to come on this. I promise you, there's going to be a lot more, and this will get more and more interesting as they continue to dig their graves. A court win. This is fabulous news and makes for a good precedent for other cases still waiting to come before the courts. Well, I mean, the other thing is you don't want to, the enemy is always hubris, right? So it's a win. Doesn't mean everything has changed. It doesn't mean that everybody else is going to win. But it's just a data point to acknowledge that, hey, maybe we can have a little bit of faith in our justice system moving forward, hopefully. And, just to comment on that, I produced this podcast, Not on Record, with Joseph Newberger and Diana Davison and whatever guests that they have. And to Diana, she became very famous because she was very outspoken against Me Too and she became uber famous and then has now transitioned to become a legal researcher. She's got a YouTube channel, Diana Davison on YouTube. And one of the things she mentioned to me a long time ago is one of the problems that we're having in Western countries is not only are politicians afraid of the mob, but in some cases, so are the justices, because they don't want the mob of communist activists showing up at their doorstep as well. And there have been a number of rulings where people speculate that, well, the justices are in a little bit of a difficult predicament, and maybe that is informing their rulings. Well, now they see there's an opposition. Now they see there's a freedom convoy, and there's a whole bunch of the silent majority who are usually busy working, who are not down for all this woke nonsense. And I'm hoping that will have a long-term effect in helping to improve the justice system overall. Hopefully that'll be another win for the Freedom Convoy, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, couple of more topics. And, Jesse, I bought a new laptop. It died okay, blah, blah, blah. Tao used. All right, you guys are all talking between each other. And, well, this is why they're doing the Discord, right? A Discord server, a server where we can all talk to one another. So this is great. Good morning, Bridget, Hitchhiker. Avril, good morning. Usually busy working. Exactly. This is why the activism doesn't really come from this side of the political spectrum, because we're actually contributing, right? So 100%. Okay, so before I get into the next couple of topics, I want to talk about, and there's a reason I'm telling you this, because normally who cares? I want to tell you about my election strategy, my federal election strategy. And we are going to have an election, I'm pretty sure, in the spring, called very, very soon, which I thought it would have been last year, as I stated on my Substack, BJdichter.substack.com. But it didn't come to fruition. But you know what? If it comes, in my opinion, if it comes in the spring of 2023, you got to give me a few months for calling that. Come on. Especially when people are saying, oh, we're not, we're stuck with him till 2025. You're not going to be stuck with blackface till 2025. I would be shocked if that happens. So, my election strategy for the upcoming election is rooted in a couple of important things. What's going to start to happen as we get closer to the election, and all the I use the term bots, bots, NPCs. All the political bots and the political NPCs will get all over social media, and they'll be telling you one of two things. They'll be saying that the CPC NPCs will be telling everybody you're splitting the vote. If you vote for PPC, then you're going for you're helping Trudeau. The PPC NPCs will start telling everybody you need to vote on principles, and it's all morally corrupt and all that stuff. While all their leaders are talking to each other behind the scenes and leveraging each other. So, for me, I'm not voting in the next election. I'm just not. It doesn't matter what happens. I am not casting a vote in the next federal election. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to be able to speak openly with all of you about, election strategies, messaging, how it all works, all that sort of stuff, without people saying, oh, you're a shill for this party or a shill for that party, because it'll flip-flop every day. So you know what? I have no dog in this fight in the next election. I mean, morally I do. I just don't want Trudeau to get elected somehow, but I'm not gonna tell people who to vote for. I've said many times in Twitter Spaces, we can't admonish people for voting with what they think is best for the country. That's up to you. But I am staying out of it, and so I want to be the third-person, impartial voice to kind of bring up different issues with everybody on all sides of the political debate. And I can't do that if I say, okay, I'm voting for this party, so I'm not voting at all. I have no dog in this fight, so we can talk openly, and people cannot try to smear me as a shill either way. Because, to be honest, they all suck. We all know they all suck. The losers of society go into politics. As we discussed in the previous stream, who are the least credible people, as you decided? Politicians, lawyers, and the media. And lawyers with an asterisk, because they're kind of paid to do that. They're paid to be advocates for one side of a debate. So it's a little bit, Anyways, so Bridget says, if people don't vote, then Trudeau will win again. Why not just vote for the independent? I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you or anybody else. I'm just saying me. I'm not voting, so I want to be able to talk about it with everybody without people attacking me and trying to smear me as a shill, which is going to happen anyways. They're going to do that. They're going to slip into cognitive dissonance and try to label me and whatever. I know that. Kind of hope they do, but I will repeatedly explain that. So I'm not commenting on the election. Okay. Hitchhiker agreed. Jesse, okay, great. Hey, Rebel Burrito, Todd. Hey, brother, love your pod. Cool, I appreciate it, man. I quite like burritos, especially burritos in Mexico con pico de gallo. Me encanta mucho esa comida. It's something else, by the way. We're going to be doing a Twitter space sometime soon. I'm going to be experimenting with some people, with Dave-O and some people in South America, which will be just in Spanish. So if you want to have a laugh and watch me crash and burn, then join that space, and I will let you all know when it is. And those of you who speak Spanish who want to join, let me know. I know some people in governments down south who I'll be inviting to participate as well, so we can deal with some of the same issues we're dealing with in Canada and all throughout Latin America, and I saw it when I was just in Colombia last year. I used to go formally to refuse my ballot so as to have it recorded as such, but found out after that they don't announce rejected ballots. That's right. When they give the election results, I was surprised the only one election worker understood what I was talking about. Yeah, I've worked polls before when I was younger, and it just kind of spoiled ballots. Just go in the garbage. It's basically they don't do anything with the data, or should I say they don't collect the data. Hippopotamus Party of Canada. Yeah. Okay, so Bill C-11. Bill C-11 has passed. Is everybody excited? is everybody all excited that the government now gets to control your mouth and tell you what you should and should not say if you decide to go on a live stream? Or at least that's what they're aiming at. For those of you who are not in Canada, this is Bill C-11 is basically the Canadian content / censorship bill, where the government has decided what is the official narrative, what are official facts, what is allowed to be disseminated, and what is misinformation. Because, politicians never lie. They never give you disinformation. Political parties never give you disinformation, tell you one thing and do the other. By the way, what did we decide already that the least credible people in society are? Politicians, lawyers, and the media. Isn't that interesting? I know DJ Productions, Banana Republic of Canada. I think that started when the horses were trampling people in Ottawa. That's when we went full Banana Republic, or should I say when they invoked the EMA. For those of you in the United States, that's Canada's equivalent, roughly, to martial law. I say roughly for the autistic political nerds who don't understand nuance in conversation. So, but what's very interesting about Canada's anti, I don't know how they, I don't remember even how they branded C-11 because I just don't care what the government says about our politicians say it is. Like I'm beyond the point of caring at this point. Oh, hold on, problem there. But remember this censorship bill that's going to certify what's official information. This is the same government that last week Blackface's brain, aka Jerry Butts, was trying to promulgate another Russia hoax fabrication, this time around the Freedom Convoy, right? So this is these are the arbitrators of truth. What's really concerning from my perspective, and this is part of the reason we're going to have a Twitter space in Spanish, the person who's in charge of this bill, who's a member of Parliament in Canada, who, as far as I'm concerned, should not even be in the country. Like how these people get elected to office, how Canadians are just so devoid of knowledge of the people that are running for their offices through political entryism to take over the country. But Pablo Rodriguez is Argentinian. And, I did some background on him, and it's very interesting that his father fought in La Guerra Sucia. So what is La Guerra Sucia? La Guerra Sucia was quite messy in Argentina. But his father, La Guerra Sucia, the Dirty War, without getting to the whole history of it. You can look it up online, Guerra Sucia in Argentina. But his father's a communist. But hardcore, violent communist. And this piece of shit, if I can call him that, who managed to weasel his way into our government because everybody in the Liberal Party is asleep at the wheel, has now brought in these communist tactics where they will decide what you or I or everybody else says online. Like, this is, it's quite ridiculous. It's more clown world in overdrive. So I think maybe what we can do, what people can do, is why don't you just, what they want to do is, their auspice is, well, we want to deal with disinformation and what's legitimate content and whatever. I think if everybody in Canada just focuses on overloading Mr. Pablo Rodriguez, his constituency office, his emails, his social media, absolutely everything, just flood him with memes of disinformation about him. Everything, right? Him and everything else. Just overload him with information because we want to ensure that they justify this regulation, right? So the strongest form of protest is amplification. So why not just help him justify this new bill that he's passed by just overloading him with misinformation? And just the funnier the memes, the better. Dank memes will be golden in this tactic. So I suggest everybody in Canada get together and just start reaching out to Pablo Rodriguez, the son of the communist, and just share some information with him and ask him for his opinion, and maybe file complaints with the government of Canada about their information and our information, and everybody's information. Just it would be great. Let's see what happens. But it's and make sure to get your VPNs because much like communist China, we all need to have VPNs now. It's crazy. Sonia says, but C11 didn't pass yet. Yes, apparently it passed yesterday. And I hope I'm not wrong on that. If I'm wrong, somebody tell me. But from what I saw in the streams I was in yesterday, that it passed yesterday. I love how every time Trudeau speaks on something like misinformation, it sounds like he's scolding his own conduct. He actually sounds like somebody has penetrated his rear end and he's just trying to gasp for air. Maybe that's why all the ums and ahs and maybe because Seamus is behind him doing some stuff, but whatever. It is what it is, right? Oh, wait, was that misinformation? I did it again. Misinformation. Oh, here we go. I love it. On what is this? On the Chinese spyware. Your chief clown, Trump, and yourself are delusional. Well, that's a great argument. What do you think about that argument? That is what you call a bot. That's an API that's just grabbing script from a list of insults and trying to apply them to my account. That's why, I mean, the reason I tell you guys that, so you learn just to be dismissive of stuff and explain that to other people when people try to attack them and say, oh, you're ugly. Well, that's just a script from a database that's being plugged through an API. We have to go back to actually talking to people in person. From Aunt Beth on locals. Yes, but I mean, listen, communication and telecommunication is going to evolve. This is a valid form of communication, whether we're in the same room or we're 2 rooms apart from one another. I don't know that it makes all that difference, but I do understand the desire for more intimate conversation, 100%. But is what it is. Okay. So the title of this stream, I put guilty on all counts, defendant linked to the Danforth shooter. Explain some of this, and some of you may or may not realized. There were a pair of trials that were linked to remember a few years ago, there was the largest carfentanil drug bust in Canadian history. There was 42 kilograms of carfentanil. And then people were speculating all over the media, oh, it could kill 20 million people, it can kill 10 people. Like, nobody knew. Everybody's just yapping, right? But it was a sizable bust, including lots of firearms, prohibited firearms. So if you have a gun license, you understand what prohibited means. That's a big no-no in Canada. And the first conviction was Babar Ali, which was now, 2 years ago, I think, was when he was convicted and got, 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. But a couple of days ago, shockingly, there was a conviction by a gentleman, the name of Mason Ansari, who I believe owned the house and was renting it out to the people who were there, but clearly, I guess the court agrees that they all kind of knew each other, and that there was, I know from a source that linked into that community that they did know each other, but I guess the judge agreed. And there was a story written in the National Telegraph about this, and it was written by John Goddard, who helped me with Honking For Freedom, that book behind me right there. You'll see his name is on it as well. John was an investigative journalist for 30 plus years and a published author, understands this stuff. It's very interesting. So he wrote an article for the National Telegraph a couple of years ago. A year ago, maybe? 2 years ago? I'm not sure exactly. And I'm going to quote from the article. And remember, this is why it's, for me, it's particularly potent. Due to where I live, and you'll understand that in a second. In the article in the National Telegraph about the Ansari case, it says, quote, adding an extra dimension to the case, both accused men, because remember I said Babar Ali was the first case and Mason Ansari was the second case. They sound like white supremacists. Both accused men in their mid-30s grew up in Toronto's Thorncliffe Park neighborhood as friends with the Hussein brothers, Faisal and Fahad. So Faisal, I think, was the Danforth shooter, and Fahad was his brother, who was a gangbanger and overdosed on, I think it was coke, if I'm not mistaken, and is, I think, still a vegetable at Sunnybrook Hospital. Is that politically incorrect? Yes, and I don't care. Their names kept popping up in 2 weeks of trial testimony. Fahad overdosed on cocaine and other substances and lapsed into a permanent coma. Police and politicians have repeatedly characterized the Danforth shooting as a product of mental illness, but the current trials add context about the brothers' semi-criminal lives. So, now that, when the Danforth shooting occurred, for me it was very frustrating. First, did you know this? I'm telling you this now because it was written in, I think, the Toronto Sun wrote maybe one article or two articles, the National Telegraph, and then nowhere else. It was memory hold. Did you know that the Danforth shooting was linked to the largest carfentanil drug bust in history? Not just Canada, like anywhere. 42 kilograms carfentanil. I posted the Toronto Sun article, by the way, in the YouTube link. I'll post them on Locals when we're done. I suggest you have a read and learn more about this whole carfentanil, Danforth shooter, Fahad and Faisal, and all that sort of stuff. I personally, I live in the neighborhood, and I was supposed to be at Massini that night, which is one of the places I go for Heroes and souvlaki sometimes, and especially on the night that particular night, I remember it. I was editing podcasts, and I was going to take a break and go down to Massini and pick something up. Who keeps posting Donald? I love the enthusiasm, brother. I really appreciate it, but keep the link posting to, one at a time. Don't overload people because I can't see the links here. In the encoder, I can't actually look at them. Anyways, so I was editing podcasts, and I was going to go get some dinner, and I just decided, you know what? I'm just not going to eat. I'm just going to plow through because I had so much work that night. And, well, it's a good thing I did. Because it happened right around the time that I was going to go down and grab some food. And I think what was particularly frustrating for me, once you learn all the facts around it, Joe Warmington walked the streets with Tariq Fatah and did a segment online and showed, everything that transpired. Faisal, the white supremacist, he pumped a full magazine of bullets into the back of a 12-year-old girl who was on the ground as her friends were all running away. So the response from the community here is overwhelmingly frustrating for me because I see the contrast in the time that I've lived in Latin America where they have violence and they don't try to pretend to ignore it away. They actually know violence is bad and what violence is. And I think every one of my friends in Latin America has a family member who was killed by the narcotraficantes or the drug wars, whether it's an aunt, uncle, cousin, in one friend's case, his brother, stray bullet coming home from school when he was a little kid. So everybody has suffered that. They don't turn around and file lawsuits against gun manufacturers. Like there's the Canadian way of sticking your head in the sand. It's so frustrating. And living here all this time, and not one person. There's a small group of people. Everybody else wanted to pretend it didn't happen. And then they go and it's just so frustrating that we're so spoiled and such children here sometimes that we have the inability to address very serious issues. Like imagine the type of monster that had to do that. So I'm hoping, now maybe this is going to be considered disinformation in the future under Bill C-11, talking about the facts of this trial and this case and just getting it on your radar. You can go, read the article in the National Telegraph and the articles in the Toronto Sun. Please don't let people memory hole this. This is important, especially since we have so much of this stuff going on. There's the Chicken Land shooting. Remember that a year ago in Peel Region, where these 3 kids, also I guess white supremacists, came in and shot up a restaurant owned by some Druze. And there were some reasons that happened, which likely will come out in the case. And how's the media reporting on any of this? Are they reporting on any of this? I mean, I remember when that family in London was mowed over by somebody who actually was some sort of white supremacist extremist, whatever. That was all over the place to the point that Doug Ford went to the memorial. I didn't see Doug Ford at the memorial for the family at Chicken Land. I didn't see any of that. So hopefully that bias is going to start to sway over time. And it'll only happen if you all pay attention to it and understand what's going on and do some of the research, because your fake news media isn't going to cover it. And even your alternative media is really dropping the ball on this sort of stuff, right? And we only have freedom when we have the truth and we know what's going on. Okay, so Miss Cheryl, how did we get there? Oh, how do we get here? Simple. Political entryism is how we got there. That's the strategy that's been used. That's what C11th is for. Yep, exactly. People who are born into freedom and have lived only in freedom don't understand much of anything of the world. Yeah, I got to tell you, I mean, I first went to the third world when I was quite young. What was I, 18, 19 years old? And that's when I started going to Latin America, went to the Middle East, went all over the place. But, we have these, NDP librarians and school trustees who've never moved beyond their neighborhood. And you sometimes see them when you travel. You can always tell a Canadian who's from a downtown city because when, or one of the leftist cities, because when you're down there, they're very free and clear to tell everybody how their culture is. We always ascribe that onto Americans. Or we're the same way, if not worse, because we think we're intellectual about it, right? I saw a lot of that in these Canadian people would come down and then start dictating to Colombians what Colombia is like. And it's like, buddy, you're a guest. Get out of here. And those are the type of people that you see that try to censor people, control narratives, get involved in politics, tell people what misinformation is. It's just their own political biases and their own personal biases is all it is. So the related to all of this, and the last point, and then if you have any questions or things, just pop in and tell me. And then I got to call it a day because I got a really busy day, and then I'm back in the truck first thing in the morning. There is this whole debate, do people really want to know the truth? And I come on the side of, people's adherence to confirmation bias and cognitive dissonance, that people don't want the truth, right? People want to adopt their own personal belief system of ideas, and they want to hold on to it no matter what. And once you challenge it, they slip into cognitive dissonance. That's exactly what happened with this bullshit narrative about the Freedom Convoy, that we had a deal, that all that sort of stuff that started in August, that complete fabrication, which, by the way, they've already started to walk back. So that's how you know it was one of the many ways it was a fabrication. So when I started to speak up, which was first, step one was to do the commission, come out and explain the truth of what happened, and then go into Twitter Spaces, do vlogs, and all that sort of stuff. And then, of course, people would attack me. I want that. That's the idea. I want people to attack me. I want them, because now you're challenging their bias and their cognitive dissonance. They're going to recoil, and it takes time for people to, through repetition, to start to see, no, this is the actual truth, and this is what happened. And eventually they'll adopt it. And the best part about being on the side of the truth is, aside from saying, hey, this is the truth repeatedly, I don't have to say anything. Because eventually what happens, you get an independent journalist like Greg from Diverge Media, who takes an interest in it and realizes that, hey, maybe this actually, what we've been sold isn't true. And then they go down, they do a deep dive and start to realize, wait, this is actually the truth. And then they want to start sharing it with all of you. That's at the stage that we're at right now. And it's a long process. So I was really happy to see that there are people, even this week, I saw more and more people who've started to abandon the fake narrative, that have started to listen to Greg. Because you don't have to listen to me. Like, I have full plausible deniability here in that, hey, it's just the truth. You don't like what I'm saying? Great. You can go to other sources. You can look at the documents that were submitted, all the email communications, whatever, and you can come to your own conclusions. I know the conclusions you're going to come to, right? If you don't have certain people on the side always trying to reinforce the lie over and over and over through repetition, right? When they say, what was the thing that Catherine McKinnon said? You just have your talking point and you say it repeatedly, and eventually people believe it, which was Goebbels' perspective in Germany. I'm not doing the Godwin's law. I'm just as an example, which came from Edward Bernays and Freud's cousin Edward Bernays, who really kind of discovered that at the same time. So that's what's happening. That's why you see people constantly going on fake alternative media, telling you over and over again, swallow this fake narrative over and over and over again. And if nobody's there to say, hey, this is not true, why don't you listen to the truth? Then that will take on a life of its own. But I'm not going to allow that happen. As I told all of you, I'm never going to lie to you. There's no reason. And it's just really nice to see that people are starting to realize that, they subconsciously realize to slip out of the cognitive dissonance of narrative reinforcement, and maybe I should look at some other things that challenge, what I've already been told, and they're starting to do the deep dives. So it's really great to see that. And that's why when people were attacking me and whatever, I kind of predicted that, and I kind of knew that would happen. That's just kind of the game, right? Beth says, Diverge Media is awesome. I really enjoyed the second Twitter space about the Convoy files. Yeah, I've encouraged him to kind of adopt, some of you might have seen me on stage a couple of times with Mario Newfall when he was doing the Twitter stuff. The last time I was on was when I was in Boston. To take a similar approach with the Freedom Convoy files, and just to release them once a week or however he's uncovering stuff, and grow the group and share it with all of you. So you don't have to listen to Dichter crow about this, because you heard me enough. You know my opinions. But it's nice to see that there's not just him, there's other people as well who they have this passion for the truth, like all of us do, because they're not political actors. And so I encourage you, the next Twitter files, which I think they said they're not going to do this week, they're going to do the week after, if I'm not mistaken. I think they might have even set up the Twitter space. I'm not sure. But I encourage you to join it and ask questions, challenge them, as I've been challenged many times in many different Twitter spaces. And after 10 months, when Sheila Gunn Reid started smearing me and said, well, we'll have Dichter on anytime if he wants, and I called her on it, and I said, okay, great, I'll come on tomorrow. I answered every single one of her questions, didn't dodge one of them, to the point where I think it was people understood what I was conveying was factual. So what did Rebel News do? Unlike the lawyers and Marazzo putting it all over their main channels, my interview, they didn't do that. They just put it on the Rebel News Canada channel, and they didn't even release it as her weekly show. They recorded a second show to be her weekly Wednesday. And when I called her out on it, she said, oh, yeah, we didn't want it to be behind a paywall. We wanted everybody to see it. Like, I'm fucking stupid. Like, I don't know exactly what you're doing. You didn't put it on your main channel. You tried to bury it on the Canadian channel so you could say you addressed it and then memory hole it. By the way, isn't that what they accuse the CBC of doing all the time? It is what it is. All right. Tao says the look on Sheila's face, that whole interview was classic. Yeah, she didn't know what hit her because guess what? One of us was telling the truth. And in fairness to her, she wasn't actually, she was reading a list of questions that were trying to kind of reinforce through persuasion a certain narrative. And I think Jim and myself did a good job of communicating the truth. So she should have been ecstatic, and I would have expected a follow-up to say, hey, we're learning that there are some issues within the Freedom Convoy, and maybe what we've been told is not exactly accurate. But what do you know? Pay for play, right? That's what it is. It's all pay for play politics. Tony says, oh, look at me. I want attention. There you go. There's another API bot or script that's coming from a database going through an API. And you can tell because like people like Tony right now, it's Tony 198511. That's probably the sequence in which it's pulled from the database. I tell you all of this so you don't get upset and you don't get distraught when you see these things online on various social media platforms. I know some people get upset at it. I don't. It doesn't bother me. And part of it is because I know this is all just a tactic by, I call them techno-communists, right? They're communists that understand technology, and they're utilizing technology to further their violent religion. And it is what it is. And Beth says, skipping this week as Greg is moving. That's right. I think he told me that. So the next one will be on February 16th. So that's going to be the Freedom Convoy Files number 3, I guess, is what he's going to do. Tao says, it says follow-up, nope. Oh, it's talking about Rebel News. Follow-up, nope. They had Hurt Locker Tom on the next day for the Commission Daily Wrap-Up. So there you go. That's how you know that is a mouthpiece for certain people within a conservative bubble, which I call Big Con Canada Inc. That's how you know they're part of Big Con Canada Inc. That's telling you have to believe A, B, and C. And what do? They commit the offense that all the legacy media does, and that is lie by omission. And that's also why the lefties have always been saying for years, as a news agency, they have zero credibility. Well, I guess so. For those of you who haven't seen Lauren Southern's documentary, The Full Truth, you should really watch it. It's very interesting and tells a lot of what we were experiencing and what I was experiencing over the last year since the convoy. And if you watch that, I think you'll kind of understand my perspective. Please tell Greg I can do research at night if he needs help. That is very, very sweet of you, Jesse. Jesse, by the way, are you in the Discord? Because Tao, whenever you send it to me, I will pop in. Today I can't. It's a little bit crazy. Maybe tonight, if not tomorrow. And so we can have these chat sessions that you have in the Discord, and I can help contribute to it. Okay, I think that is... Oh, there's one more. Actually, I had a comment that I wanted to share with all... Did I put... Wait, I might have... Did I put it on here? I don't know what happened to it. Okay, well... All right, well, so much for the... I had some comment I was going to talk about, but whatever. It is what it is. Good morning, K9. How are you, sweetheart? It's good to see you, and thank you for joining. I'm just about to finish off. I've said, spoke about all of this sort of stuff, but whatever. Lauren Southern, I don't find her credible either. She reports by handing you your opinions just like Ezra and Sheila do. She learned from Rebel when she was there. Yet I don't really follow, to be honest, I don't watch Lauren Southern very much. She was very kind and gracious during the Freedom Convoy. She connected me with a couple of podcasters who I really like. Don't like some of their opinions sometimes, but I quite like their show. And they had me on as a guest, which was great. And so I am thankful to her for that. So, yeah, I'm sure this is probably narrative journalism in some way, shape, or form. But I think with her piece on The Full Truth, it's one of those things that whether you like her or not, maybe, defer to a broken clock is right twice a day if you're not a fan of hers. And watch it, because I think you'll see some insight into Big Con Canada Inc. and how it all operates, which I'll be talking more and more about over time. I've just, clued you in a little bit, one aspect of Big Con Canada Inc. And by the way, did you all know that the Democracy Fund is run by, was purchased by Ezra Levant? And apparently what they've been doing is they've been fundraising for the truckers. They're supposed to be dealing with criminal. And then telling the truckers to, this is just what I was told. So I don't know this as a fact, but this was told to me by a very highly credible source, that they're fundraising for the truckers, but then telling the truckers, just take a plea bargain. And the truckers, are the people who are charged, are like, I'm not taking a plea bargain. And it's just not just truckers, it's truckers and supporters who were arrested and criminally charged. I'm not taking a plea bargain. I didn't do anything wrong. And I know two people, I can't say the names, attorney-client privilege, but two people who abandoned them and have gone to a private law firm, hired their own counsel, because they said, I'm not here to plea bargain, and I don't understand how people have raised money to fight for us, but are plea bargaining. Sound familiar? Sounds a little bit like the JCCF, doesn't it? Really? Sounds a lot like that. But anyways, it is was. Paula, where can I find The Full Truth? It's on Lauren Southern's YouTube channel. It's about 2 hours long. I actually listened to it when I was in the truck driving in the States, but it is worthwhile. You may not agree with everything, but I think it gives you an overall sense of what's really going on behind the scenes, which is also why I am not voting in this election, and I'm not going to get into the PPC versus CPC debate. I'm going to support all of you, whoever you support. I'm going to try to propose arguments on both sides, for and against, so we can talk about it civilly and respect each other, irrespective of your differences and who you want to vote for. Because Big Con Canada Inc. We'll put it that way. All right. Thank you for going there now. Appreciate it. I hope you enjoy it, Paula. K9, thank you as well. Beth, I thought Democracy Fund was affiliated with the JCCF. Now Ezra Levant as well. Yeah, no, it's not affiliated. They're basically, JCCF is Alberta, Democracy Fund is Ontario, and Rebel News purchased, or I guess Ezra purchased the charitable entity, the charity that had a different name before. I know what that name is. And they changed it to the Democracy Fund and using that to funnel donations into. What they're doing with the donations, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't want to get too. I'll let you guys figure that out. You guys can do that sort of research. I got some other stuff I got to deal with. We have this class action lawsuit that we're dealing with, and whatever. BJ, put a link in the description. The problem is I'm using the encoder. I gotta go. I will. I'll find it, and I'll. It just depends what platform you're on, and because I'm broadcasting to so many different places right now, it'll take me a half hour to do that. So I think this is why I want to eventually scale down to having everybody funnel into either YouTube or locals, and those will be the main feeds. So it's just a little bit easier to send information to all of you, and things don't get lost in the shuffle sort of thing, right? Tao, Discord, Canadian Freedom Chat. Oh, okay. Well, if either you or Jesse, if you have the link, the Discord link, just send it to me in a DM in Twitter, and I'll join as soon as I can. Callum, good show, Ben. Didn't catch it all now, but we'll try to catch up later. I appreciate it. Thank you, Callum. And Callum has the best name because everybody I know in England, minus two people, they're all named Callum. So, but I really do appreciate it. Thank you, brother. Discord always need an invite link. Okay, sure. Tao, message me. Tao, are you on Twitter? I don't. We talk all the time through like. Anyways, just get in touch with me or. Okay, Jesse and Tao will do it, and you'll figure it out and get it to me. Okay, great. Good for those truckers to not take a plea bargain. I hope Tamara and Chris don't do that either. I'm willing to guess that's exactly what they'll do, and but very frustrating. Very frustrating when you have friends who are taking, or a friend who's taking very, very bad legal advice, who says they trust you with their lives. And, well, if you trust us with your lives, then why don't you just take my advice on this? Because this is quite serious stuff. And, but anyways, it is what it is. Big Con Canada Inc. Stop Big Con Canada Inc. There's going to be more coming down the pipeline over the next several months, and we'll talk more openly about it. But anyways, the Danforth shooter, check out that article in the National Telegraph, which is in the link is in the YouTube description. I already put it there for sure. Look into that stuff. You'll find it quite fascinating, and I think there is going to be a follow-up article sometime soon in the National Telegraph to kind of summarize all of that stuff. I think I'm assuming I'll ask them what they're going to do. I'm just curious. Okay, that's it for today. And if anybody is on YouTube, if anybody's on Twitter, if anybody wants to ask a question, I got like 4 minutes. If you want to come on stage and ask a question, let me know. Just ask for a mic. If not, we'll do this again. Again, this is just kind of testing the Twitter space to utilize this platform moving forward for some other stuff I have planned. And in the Twitter space is Dave O. Dave O and I will be with Andrea. We'll be doing a Twitter space sometime soon in Spanish for those of you who speak Spanish or want to learn or want to want to laugh at how horrible my Spanish is, porque es horrible. But yeah, it is what it is. All right. Tao, Jesse, all right, everybody's great. I think no more questions. And I hope you all have an amazing day. Just remember, just do your best to be good to everybody else, despite all the kind of negative things, the Danforth shooter. I mean, even that had a positive outcome. 2 of the people involved, convicted, guilty on all accounts. We'll see what the sentence is. Hopefully it's not overly light, and that it's fair, and we'll encourage our justice system to not be afraid of the mob, because there's a whole bunch of the silent majority who you saw in Ottawa who have your backs when you propose a fair ruling. So just a suggestion. Okay, I got to run. I sent you a Twitter message. Perfect. I will talk to you guys soon. I don't think I will be here tomorrow. I have a big meeting, trucking related, that I got to deal with some paperwork and all sorts of stuff tomorrow. But and then I'll be in Connecticut. So if all works out well, I'll see you on Tuesday, and I'm going to try to sprinkle some stuff in here and there in between. Enjoy some Twitter Spaces for those of you who invite me and want me to participate. Okay, thank you, everybody. I love you all, and just be good to everybody. Despite all these negative people, don't let it get to you. Treat everybody with nothing but love and respect, and go out of your way to make people's days better. You're going to feel a lot better about yourself, I promise. All right. Be safe, everybody. We'll talk to you.